Alright guys, so now we are going to start the section 4.2 part 2, where I'm going to try to do 2 or 3, I think, problem, and you will have to finish all of the others by yourself. You pretty much now understand what you need to do. So if I look at this y equal negative 2 cosinus x minus pi over 3 over 2 period, well, first of all, what I want to do is thinking about what makes the angle, what makes the cosinus of my angle, and my angle is x minus pi over 3, equal to 1. Why am I looking for first equal to 1? Because I read the value of my cosinus on the horizontal axis, and I know that my cosinus is going from 1 to negative 1. Okay, so if you looking at cosinus x minus pi over 3 equal 1, that means that the angle x minus pi over 3 equals 0. Therefore, we end up to have a value x equal pi over 3. So basically what I'm saying is when x equal pi over 3, the value of cosinus of the angle x minus pi over 3 equal 1. And so my function y is going to be equal to negative 2 multiplied by 1, as the cosinus is supposed to be equal to 1, equal 2. So when x equal pi over 3, y equal 2. Y equal negative 2. My apology for that. So I can do again with pretending that what is the value of when the cosinus equal of my angle equals 0. I know that means that the angle equal pi over 2. So therefore x equal pi over 2 plus pi over 3, which is 5 pi over 6. And so if the cosinus is equal to 0, that means y equal negative 2 multiplied by 0, which is 0. So when y equals 0, when the angle equal 5 pi over 6, y, the function, equal to 0. I could do it again with cosinus, because I know the cosinus is in between 1 and negative 1. So cosinus of my angle equal to negative 1. That means that the angle x minus pi over 3 equal pi. And so x equal pi plus pi over 3, which means 4 pi divided by 3. And so y equal negative 2 multiplied by negative 1. And then I end up to have y equal 2. So y equal 2, y will be equal to 2 when the angle will be, when the value of x is equal to 4 pi over 3. So I have cosinus equal 1, cosinus equal negative 1. Remember that the cosinus is equal to 1. The cosinus of my angle x minus pi over 3 is equal to 1 when the angle x minus pi over 3 is equal also to 2 pi. Therefore, x equal 2 pi plus pi over 3, which means 7 pi over 3. And therefore, I know that y will be equal to negative 2 at 7 pi divided by 3. Y will be equal to negative 2 at 7 pi divided by 3. I can also say that the cosinus of my angle x minus pi over 3 is equal to 0 when the angle x minus pi over 3 equal 3 pi over 2. So x equal 3 pi over 2 plus pi over 3. And we end up to have 11 pi over 6. So now what I want to do is graph this function, and to graph that function, down, here we go. So now to graph that function, what I'm going to do is looking for pi over 3. So pi over 3 is right here. So when x equal pi over 3, I know that I'm supposed to be at -2, so I'm right here. When x equals 5 pi, I also, when x equals 7 pi over 3, I'm supposed to be at -2, so 1 pi over 3 is right here, 2 pi over 3, 3 pi over 3, 4 pi over 3, 5 pi over 3, 6 pi over 3, 7 pi over 3, it's probably right there, so I can fairly say that I have a -2 right here. Now I know that when x equals 4 pi over 3, I'm supposed to be at y equal 2, so 3 pi over 3 is right here, 4 pi over 3 is right here, so I will be right there. The zeros are 5 pi over 6. Are 5 pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. So 11 pi over 6 will be a little bit far away, but what I can do is 5 pi over 6. So if pi over 3 is right here, pi over 6 is right there. So pi over 6 is right here. This is pi over 6, guys. Right here, when this one was pi over 3. So 5 pi over 6 is right there. So I know this is a 0. Right there, this is a 0. 5 pi over 6. 6 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6, 8 pi over 6, 9 pi over 6, 10 pi over 6, 11 pi over 6. This is another 0. Now, if you look at the half of a period, if you look at the, not the half of a period, but if you look at the symmetry you have between the fact that you are between a value of -2 and 2, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pi over 6, which is about every 6 pi over 6, you will go from -2 to +2. So 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 6 pi over 6. Right there, it's supposed to be a +2. And then you have from there, you will have, if you go to the left, 6 pi over 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You will have, so I'm right here, so 1 pi over 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right here, you're supposed to be at -2. Now, if I look at the value of your zeros, I define a 5 pi over 6, and in between the zeros you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pi over 6. So obviously I can expect to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pi over 6, another 0 right here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, another 0 right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, another 0 right there. So when I graph that function, I can easily graph the function like this. Now, okay. Now, guys, please, I'm going to let you do the graph of the problem number 4. It is exactly the same idea, 3 over 2 cosinus 2x minus pi. You are going to apply exactly the same thing. The angle equals, what is the value of the cosinus when the cosinus equals 1 or 0 or -1, for which angle, and the angle right here please, the angle is 2x minus pi, and therefore you will be able to define for which value of x your cosinus will be equal to 1 or negative 1, and don't forget you got 3/2 to define the value of y. Vertical translation, when you have a function y equal f of x plus c or minus c, if it's plus, you're going up c unit, and if you have a negative, you're going down of c unit. So if I look at this problem right here, what do we have? We're having, and I can apply exactly the same idea. The cosinus 2x will be equal to 1 when the angle 2x will be equal to 0. So therefore, when x equals 0, when the cosinus 2x equal 1, that means that y will be equal to negative 2 plus 3 times 1, which is 1. So when x equals 0, y equals 1. Therefore, I'm supposed to be right here. Then if I look at cosinus 2x equals 0, that means that the angle 2x equals pi over 2. So I know that means that x will be equal to pi over 4. When x equals 0, y will be equal to negative 2 plus 3 times 0, and so I end up y equal negative 2. So when x equals pi over 4, which means right here, I will have y equal negative 2. Okay? Then I do that all the time for all the value of cosinus. When cosinus 2x equal 1, when the angle equal 2 pi, I can do also that when for the cosinus 2x equal negative 1, when the angle 2x equal pi, and that will help you to graph your function. I'll let you finish that. Pretty easy, same idea. Obviously, you could also think in terms of, oh, I'm having 3 cosinus 2x. So first of all, the amplitude of my function cosinus 2x will be multiplied by 3. But second of all, I need to have a shift down of 2 units because of the negative 2. So please, you can use your calculator, but try to do that by hand. It's very easy. This is the summary. I'll let you finish also the practice for the 6 when you have 4 minus 2 sinus 1 over x minus pi. With the same idea, you can say that the sinus 1/2 over x minus pi will be equal to 0 when you will have the angle 1 over 2x minus pi equal 0, or when you have 1 over 2x minus pi equal pi, or you can also say when 1 over 2x minus pi equal 2 pi. You are going to, for each of these, express the value of x, and that then you will say for this value of x, when my sinus is equal to 0, well, you know that you will have y equal 4, because 4 minus 2 times 0 equal 4. For every time right here, you are going to have y equal 4. You are going to do the same thing when you are going to write sinus 1 over 2x minus pi equal 1. That means that your angle minus pi, 1 over 2x minus pi is your angle, equal to pi over 2. Therefore, you are going to express the value of x, and you are going to say that the value of x you found will make your y equal to what? Equal to 4 times minus 2 multiplied by 1, because now your sinus equal 1. If you do the same thing for the sinus of 1 over 2x minus pi equal negative 1, your angle 1 over 2x minus pi will be equal this time to 3 pi over 2. From this, you will express x, and then you will say, for the value of x you found, y will be equal to 4 times negative, y will be equal to 4 minus 2 times, minus 2 times negative 1, because we were working now this with the value of sinus equal -1, which is 6, when right here you are supposed to have y equal 2. So I'll let you finish that and I will see